for allowing me the time to sit and talk with you today. I'd love for, first of all, you just to take a minute and introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Jodee O'Brien, and I am with Action Coach Central Texas. I'm one of the owners with my husband and my son. And I have been just in the business world and nonprofit world for over 35 plus years, and really just excited to take my knowledge and my experiences and my mess ups and help other people so that they can learn from my mistakes, but also grow and figure out how they can, encourage themselves and
I love that. Okay, so and then your session at WIA is titled Laugh, Lead, and Legacy. Love the name. Um, I'd love for you to tell us in a high pressure industry like automotive, why is joy something leaders can't afford to overlook?
It's really interesting because when you think about joy, people think about that it's kind of like the after effect, but really joy is what's going to fuel your legacy and fuel your leadership. And so it's really finding that joy in what you're doing and then how to bring that out in your work and personal life.
Oh, that's so true. I love that. Oh gosh, let's go there. Sorry, my screen keeps moving around and I can't find my notes. Oh my
It's okay.
gosh. I'm gonna love. So this next question is actually kind of perfect because there's often this expectation to stay serious, to be taken seriously. Where do you see that mindset holding leaders back?
I think it really goes back to allowing yourself to be silly, right? Allowing yourself to be yourself and having the inspiration and the confidence that you need to say, you know what, this is who I am, and it's not to not be or a certain way or be serious in certain situations, but I'm really taking ourselves too seriously, and especially when you're in a man's world where you have, they can joke around or whatever, but women are expected to, work very,
Oh,
like they can't show their emotions because then it's taken away from them. So I think being able to find that confidence in letting your emotions lead in a good way.
right. So many times we've heard that you're being too emotional comment whenever it's either end of the spectrum. It's like, how are we supposed to remain neutral at all times? I don't know if that's even possible. Do you think?
No, I don't. And I think that's what makes women leadership so different than men's is because we do have, and I'm not fashion men, but I do think that we have that a little bit more of the compassion. It's just bred into us. And so being able to take that emotion and using it. And yeah, I mean, I cry when I'm happy, I cry when I'm sad. And it's very clear, like, this crying does not mean what matter. It's just how I'm responding.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. Yeah, so much there. I'm trying really hard not to go deep because I want people in the session to talk so to hear everything you have to say, and I can't give it away too much right now. So, um, so when you do talk about laughing at the mess, what does that look like in reality when things just aren't going as planned?
It's like we can only control what we can control. We can only control ourselves. And there are times when you just, like you think about if there's something bad that happens in your life, and at some point you just learn to laugh. You just have to laugh about you just look back at it and you can maybe laugh. But if you can kind of bring that forward in the moment and just be like, okay, is this really something that's going to make or break my career, or is this something, no one's going to die if this doesn't happen? And so, looking at it with different set of eyes and just going, okay, that was really stupid, or that was, it's like, or it's like, yeah, actually that's pretty funny.
Right.
Yeah, I know it might not be appropriate, but it is funny.
yeah, sometimes you just have to laugh. I mean, because what else are you gonna do, right? Oh, okay. So I have to ask you this question. What do leaders tend to get wrong when they're trying to push through challenges without losing themselves in the process?
I think they forget themselves and their purpose, right? They're
Mm.
forgetting what the ultimate goal is, if it's for the organization, and not, kind of letting your ego go and really focusing on what is the purpose of whatever, you're moving forward, and just keeping a focus on that, like knowing your mission and knowing your legacy and knowing what it means to you, and then honoring that. And sometimes, we always feel like we have to shift and be somebody to fit a certain situation, which, there's that, but that's not getting rid of your complete self. It's more of that you're acting.
I love this. I feel like we could talk for hours on
Yeah.
this because yes. When we're offline, I'll have to tell you something. So, okay, so your keynote description mentions pairing vision with strategy. Where do you see people leaning too heavily on one over the other?
I think it's if you have, and it depends on the person. You'll have some people that are big thinkers. Like, I like to see the big vision, and then I don't always get the details to follow it up. Or you have somebody that's all detailed and they just don't see the vision. So I think that being able to know what's your strong suit as a person, and then surrounding yourself with the people that can maybe fill in the gaps.
Absolutely. Having that team that can complement each other, right? Because no one person can be everything.
Yeah.
So, and then there's where that's our job of knowing. I want to say it's almost acknowledging our weakness,
Oh,
acknowledging where
definitely.
we're weak and saying, okay, and not being intimidated by somebody who's strong, where we recognizing, they're an asset. Let's pull them in, let's hold them closer and
Hmm.
elevate them because, well, I can't do what they're doing. So let's bring them up alongside of us.
Or I don't want to do what they're doing.
Oh my God, so many times that is absolutely true. I don't want to do what they're doing, so they can come and do what
Yes.
they're gonna do. Oh, absolutely. So I would love, Jodee, to hear how you can clarify the difference between someone who leads with pressure and someone who leads with purpose and clarity.
I think it's fighting fires, right? If you're leading with pressure, you're so busy reacting and you're not really taking the deep look of, is this going in the direction I want it to go or where it needs to go? Kind of that bigger vision, where it's more, oh, let's just focus on this today and let's get this and this and this done. And you accomplish it, and you maybe, get that task done, but it was more of a like, meh, I got it done, and not a like, wow, I really accomplished something that was meaningful.
Oh, so true. And you said something when you started with it, that almost, I think you said the firefights, you're putting out those fires, right? So many times we can get stuck in that I'm going to take care of what's immediately in front of me. I'm going to put out the fire without ever seeing where the fire is coming from or
Yeah.
what's leading to that fire.
Hmm.
Or, yeah, because that can change everything as well if you look and see what's happening. And so, how can someone learn? I mean, and without giving away everything from a session, what is something someone can take away right now that can help them just stop and learn how to stop and reevaluate what's really happening?
I think it's just taking a pause, right? It's like when you feel it coming on, when you're doing it, and just stepping back and saying, okay, I'm gonna go get a drink of water, or I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and I'm just gonna take a minute before I respond or before I react.
Hmm.
And it's not easy, and it's something to learn to check yourself. And if there's certain ways that you can find that, like if you're in your head, you're like, okay, I'm ready to just go. It's just like, okay, and just breathe and do that stupid meditation stuff or whatever works. I don't call it's not stupid, but finding your centrability so you can rethink what you were saying.
So true. So true. Yeah, sometimes it's just that moment, and it's not selfish to take that moment for yourself.
No, no, and I think that's the part that's really frustrating is when you have all these other people's expectations in your head, and it's like really kind of cleaning out all of the noise and saying what this is what I want, this is what I'm doing, and whether it relates to your job, your personal life, and just saying, does this match my belief system? Does this match where I want to go?
So true. So I would love to hear this for women who are growing in leadership roles. How can they begin to lead with confidence and impact right where they are?
I think some of it's just continuing to educate yourself, continuing to, read books, listen to books, watch podcasts, watch YouTube, and then also finding that support group of women. I think that
Mm.
understand the challenges and that have been through it, and looking for that mentor, looking for somebody that has been through the ringer a little bit, and listening to what they have to say. It doesn't mean you're going to do it the exact same way, but it gives you some options to think through before you do and make that mistake, or make that, you make the right choice. It could go either way. Get
Right?
ugly or it could be pretty, either way.
But I think you said something very impactful is that finding that mentor, because as someone who's been both a mentor and a mentee, those mentee seasons have really changed me. I love pouring into others, and that's equally satisfying, but the mentee seasons have changed me and have really just changed my direction. And so can you talk a little bit about how someone can find a good mentor?
I think finding, if you see someone that you admire, or you see someone doing what you want to be doing, like I always have said, I want everybody to want my job. When I was a CEO of the nonprofits, it was like, I want you to want my job. So how can I help you build? So looking at the professional developing, looking at what you have to become to have what you want. And so seeing that person, and it could be a woman, it could be a man, it could be
Mm-hmm.
who knows, but really looking to that person, and saying, and really digging into, are they who they say they are, and then really trusting that that is where you want to go. And you may find, as you start to work with them, that that's not really the direction you thought it wasn't as much fun as you thought.
Oh, so true. Right?
Yeah. But
Um,
trying different things, right? You gotta
yeah,
try it.
exactly. Sometimes just that slight shift in perspective, even momentarily, can open up our eyes to something new. Um, so let me ask you this, because I keep wanting to go back to joy, because that's something that is in your description for your talk, and it's something you talk about, and it's not really something we see at work. It's not a word we associate with work. It's just not. Um, and it's definitely not something we associate with performance. And so, how have you seen it become a competitive advantage for leaders or teams who embrace joy?
Somewhere along the line, we all started hiding our joy, right? Especially, we've all been taught we have to look a certain way or feel a certain way. And I think just being able to um, find that in your day to day. I mean, you might find joy in gardening, or you might find joy in, you know, talking to people and just doing things like this, and looking at your position, and looking at your job, and looking at your career, and going, where do I find joy? Where do I lose time? Because that's where you're going to find your joy. And it may be you really like certain aspects of your job, and knowing which is more fulfilling, and then either trying to get more of that and then delegate the other stuff, or just figure out, that's what it feels good. How can I move that forward?
Absolutely, because yeah, I love it. And like, where do you lose your time at? Like, I could sit in hours and do this thing, and next thing I know, like the whole day is gone, but you don't feel depleted.
Mm-hmm.
right? You feel fulfilled. You're like, oh, that's good. Let's do that again. Yeah, find that, embrace that, build off of that, maximize it, all of those things. Um, what would you say to someone who's reflecting on their work and like, I don't see that anywhere?
I would rethink what you're doing, think about or think about how it needs to change. Maybe it's just the way it's always been
Mm,
done and you can see a better path and being able to make that change and drive that change in your own organization and just being like, hey, it's always been done this way, but let's try it this way and you might find more joy in it. Um, and then or it may just be like, okay, this is what I really like to do. I maybe need to look for a different position or career or whatever that looks like, but just trusting in yourself.
I love that. And I want to talk about some because sometimes those change.
Oh yeah.
And here's where I'm going with this because you're speaking and to me at the moment, I just really realized yesterday that the morning time is no longer that time for I can stay focused and I can do that head down deep work. For me, that's sitting in around like 1 to the end of the day. Like I can now work back into 10, 11 o'clock at night and be really focused, but you want me to get focused at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, I can't do that anymore. And so it's like the work fulfills me, but I can't find the satisfaction and the joy if I try to do it outside of where my brain wants to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
just recognizing that and making that shift, I'm like, oh, things are going so much better. Now I've got that joy back in my work because I'm learning to work within how my body's functioning at the moment.
Yeah, and I get a little bit of crap from this once in a while from my team, but it is sometimes it's like just going with where your joy takes you to on that project. And yes, I believe in time blocking, and I know that there's certain times, but if you start doing that, where your creativity times are,
Mm-hmm.
or where your most productive is, trying to shift your work accordingly. And if you are working with team, kind of explaining, hey, if you're, going to set up some meetings, let's have it at 2 o'clock or let's have it at 8 in the morning or whatever that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And be very open and communicate with everyone why you prefer that. And they probably have the same thing. And they're like, oh yeah, I'd rather do that at 8 than so
Mm-hmm.
just communicating how and why you want to do what you want to do.
Would you, and this isn't one of my questions, the last few haven't, so this is completely unscripted. But I have to ask, would you say that being able to have those open conversations requires a good level of self-awareness?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I think knowing who you are, knowing your communication style, we always joke about all the different personality tests and communication things, but it's not a bad thing to know your why and know your personality or know your communication style because that way you not only can you communicate better with others, but you can adjust your marketing and adjust your conversations to get and to work with the people that you want to work with.
Mm, so true. Jody, when you talk about legacy, it's one of those loaded words that
Mm-hmm.
um, I'd love for you to explain what does that look like in a professional sense for someone in the automotive industry.
Well, it's really I've had a shift.
Okay.
I really believed it what legacy was what your company was or where you land or or like you know starting a nonprofit. All of those things, right, are what you think of as legacy, name on the building. And what I have really come to grips with, my mom passed away 6 months ago, and she had two businesses and she was very 85, she was still working, and I was like, okay, and I thought that was kind of her legacy, is she was always working. And then I realized that it wasn't that, it was how she made other people feel. And so it was like at the end of the day, her legacy was those people at her funeral who knew her from 1970 when she did their taxes, saying, she was so wonderful. She was so nice. She meant so much to us. She always helped our family. Um, and so it was like, oh, that to me is
Mhm.
more of a legacy than any, dollar amount or name on a building. It's really can you, and you may not understand and know how your legacy is turning out until you're gone, but kindness and compassion can go a long way in building your personal legacy.
So true. Oh my gosh, so true. So, if someone is starting to feel overwhelmed or stuck in that day-to-day demands of the roles, what is something you want them to remember?
Um, Take a breath, walk away, find some people are really good with peace and quiet. Some people really, it makes them very uncomfortable. Find it's in a bathroom stall. I mean, let's be real. Or if you can do a whole day of just writing and journaling and getting it all out. I think we're too inundated with noise and social media and just all the things that we never really get our bodies to reset. And so finding that place to reset, whatever that looks like for you,
Mm.
and then going there as often as as often as possible. I mean, daily would be amazing. We don't always do it, but it sounds good. But yeah.
That's so true. And I love that you acknowledge and pointing out it's going to be different for everybody.
Oh,
What works for you is not going to be the same for me, is not going to be the same as my husband or anything like that. And so, yeah, it's really important to find that reset button for you and don't hesitate to push it when you need to.
yeah, yeah. Just be, be strong and communicate and be, be militant with your time. It's your time. You only have so much time. We all
Right.
have the same time.
Yeah.
So don't let anybody control your time. You have control.
Well, okay, so speaking of control, I do want to back up because I did skip over a question that I think I would love to hear your input on because as leaders, we can get so wrapped up and we're just that big, serious, you know what I'm trying that we take ourselves too seriously sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so what is something you would encourage people to learn to loosen their grip on?
Um, Trusting that people can do it just as well, if not better, in a different way than you do it, and giving them make a mistake because failure is moving forward, and so it's hard. And if you sit back and you really think about it and say, okay, what are you going to lose? Yes, you may lose time, you may lose a client, whatever that looks like. But if they don't have the opportunity, they'll never grow.
So true. So true. I mean, yeah, give people the outcome you want, and then trust your staff to grow into that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so true. Okay, so last question I have. What is one shift in perspective that you hope attendees walk away with after hearing you speak at Women in Automotive 2026?
Ooh. So many things. Just enjoy life, right? Don't take things so seriously. Um, you have you can only control yourself. So learning how to find that joy in yourself, however that looks, and then moving that forward as you go out through your day and your career and just keep stepping back and going, okay, and also just laugh at yourself. I mean, my gosh, I mean, I got stories, but and not everybody, yeah, and again, it's finding what that looks like for you. For me, it's like very out. out in your face, because that's kind of my personality. But maybe it is, first person that is more introverted and shy. It's like finding their joy in, my daughter-in-law likes to run and do, so that's her joy, and that's what she uses as her fuel. So finding what that looks like for everybody.
I love that. I cannot wait to hear your session. I'm excited. And so the last thing I have that I ask everybody is, what is one question you wish I would have asked you that I didn't?
Um, you're so good.
Well, thank you.
uh, I think just how can we get women to support women?
Ooh, that is an excellent question. So please, I would love to hear your input on how we could get women to support women.
I think it's gonna come from the stronger women that can say, it's okay, we can do the same job, or it's okay, um, and then bringing everybody along with them, including and mentoring them. I said mentoring, yeah, but mentoring them on how to trust themselves and how to really know that we're not out to get each other. That's been something that's been put in our heads from the universe from the day we were born. And I think that the only way we're going to get out of that is to continue to have the conversation and to call each other out
So true. I heard it
in a nice
recent.
way,
Right,
maybe.
I know. And it's so, but it's so amazing that and I heard, and I can't remember the conversation I was having, but a woman pointed out, she's like, when guys see male men in like the top 10 of anything, they're like, oh, I can do that. But women, when we see someone there, oh, that space is taken. There's not room for me now.
We all need lots of therapy too. But other than
Right.
that, you know, it's like,
So, so yeah, so I love what you said. If you're in a position, show others you can come and do this too. Invite them where you are, open that space, and don't think that, oh, I'm here, now there's no more room. Thank you so much, Jodee, for your time today. I can't wait to write this story. I'll send you the preview before it goes live, of course. Anything else you want to close us with?
oh, I'm good.
Oh, fantastic. I look forward to meeting you this July and have an amazing day. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you.